Well, I hope you enjoyed the first half of the podcast and enjoyed that interview. And let's go ahead and get into the questions. So, the first question is graduating in a month, feeling inadequate, and have zero motivation to apply for jobs. That's the title. And they say, if you're a junior or below, take my advice now and build up your resume. Connect with your professor, do research, secure as many internships as you can, add as much shit as you can so the job hunt is easy once you graduate. I'm currently hating myself and I can't even bring myself to apply for jobs. I became exactly what I tried to avoid, a graduating senior with nothing to show for it. Never had an internship, never did research. I don't have anything useful on my resume to help me land a job apart from my senior design project. I worked all throughout college, so I never joined an organization, never connected with my professors. I don't even have people I can ask for a recommendation letter. I seriously hate myself right now. Don't be like me. Well, that's a difficult situation to be in. I I hurt for you. You've worked hard. You've worked all the way throughout a engineering degree program that was rigorous, and you worked all the way through college, and you have a lot to you worked really hard, and you have a lot you did, but you don't feel like you have anything to show for it. But I'll tell you this, I know a couple people that were in my engineering cohort that were in a similar boat, but now they all have jobs. So, what I would say is leverage the connections you have with some of your peers and start having those conversations. Try to reach out to your career services department, see if they can connect you with alumni from your university that know how rigorous your engineering program was. They can help kind of get your foot in the door. You'll be surprised what a super enthusiastic alumni like myself will try to do for even the most random of students from their university. And the other thing I'd recommend is that instead of only shotgun firing off as many applications as possible into different online portals, still do that, but also be as strategic as you can. So spend as much time as possible putting yourself into a position where you can actually talk to someone. So again, the alumni, even reaching out to a couple of your classmates, you'll be surprised that maybe one of them knew somebody or knew of an opportunity, but it wasn't quite in their location that they wanted to be in, and they could recommend you or give you a recommendation. But again, the most important thing is to be really strategic with your time and to continually keep on working. Um, the thing about internships is, they're very valuable. But one of the biggest things that people get, and I got out of my internship, was learning how to be an employee and learning how to be a part of the workforce. And that's something that you have as somebody that worked all the way through college. So definitely throw that on your resume and talk to the things. If it was a person to person interfacing job where you're like working retail or something like that, talk about, or if you're a server or something like that, talk about how you developed really great communication skills in that role. You can always hype up any kind of job that you did. But for anybody else that's trying to avoid being in this situation, I kind of have this, I guess I could call it a formula that I've developed that I think is the way that you should be spending each year, 4 years, if you do a traditional 4-year program, to get yourself in a position where you have a job offer your senior year, or at least set yourself up to have success and most likely have a job offer. So the summer after your freshman year, that's the summer that you do your last family vacation or you do research on campus, because usually it's easier to get a research opportunity after your freshman year. If you need to take any extra classwork to make sure you graduate on time, that's the summer to do it. And then you're likely not going to be able to land an internship at all related to your field unless you have nepotism or you just happen to just know somebody that can really get you an internship. So what I recommend doing is working some kind of job tangentially related to your desired industry. For example, if you were considering going into the construction industry, consider going out into the oil fields or getting a job as like a helper or just some kind of entry level job that is related to the field that you want to work in. Then the summer after your sophomore year, that is where you're trying to get whatever paid internship that you can get your hands on, because that's the experience that you have that is going to get you your good internship. I mean, not to say that people can't land good internships this summer after their sophomore year, but it's just harder to do. But the most important thing you can do is get yourself some experience so that way your summer after your junior year, which is your most important summer, you have a good internship because of the experience you had your sophomore year. It's really, you might think this is crazy, but a lot of companies actually prefer to hire interns that have previous internship experience, which is kind of the whole twist around thing, like, oh, you want me to have experience, but I need to do your internship to get experience. So why don't you just give me an internship? Just some of the companies, they still require that experience. But the good thing about getting an internship with one of those companies is those companies generally have formal internship programs that are designed to give people job offers afterwards. So if you follow this pathway of working some kind of job summer after freshman year, getting any kind of paid internship you can the summer after your sophomore year, and then getting a formal internship from a formal internship program your summer after your junior year, then likely by the end of the first semester of your senior year, you will have a job offer in hand for when you graduate. And at that point, you might have to make a decision about whether or not you're going to take it or not. But as long as the offer letter that you send is non-binding, then you can always accept. And then if you have a better opportunity, then eventually back out unless they make you sign a contract. So that's kind of the pathway that you can follow to kind of keep yourself out of that situation. All right. Next question. The question is titled A Slightly Different Question. Nice. Does anyone ever feel like you need a creative outlet in your life to balance out the nature of what is required from an engineer? How did you find your creative outlet? That's a great question. And that's the title of the question. So here's the full question. So I've been working in the electrical and automation world for just over 10 years. I love what I do and I love my company, but lately I have been feeling more and more that I need something to express myself creatively, since there is almost no way for me to do that during my day job. I started dabbling in writing a fantasy novel, and I'm looking into game design in the next few months. It offers a kind of excitement and engagement that I've not felt in a long time, and I simultaneously like having both my engineering career and this other form of thinking in my life. It has been so refreshing. Has anyone else gone through this? What did it look like for you? Well, this is kind of my creative outlet. My second passion to my career is other people's careers, and I've always taken an interest in trying to be helpful to help other people reach a point in their career, because I feel like I've made so many mistakes along the way, and I've been very fortunate to get to the position that I'm in now. But my main hobby is this YouTube channel. I get to exercise my desire to work on videos with this video camera. I'm learning about audio engineering with this microphone I have here and this pop filter and the Audacity program that I'm looking at. That's kind of been one of my creative outlets. And then also, I've also taken up hobbies such as Toastmasters, which is, again, kind of career related. So I guess you could call me a uber nerd. But then the other thing that I do for fun is that I played piano growing up, and I play the piano every once in a while. And then I also played golf in high school and in middle school. So I've started playing golf pretty regularly again and taking that seriously. And it's been a great distraction and creative outlet for me. And I recommend that taking up a hobby, even if it doesn't have to be a serious one, and it doesn't have to be one that necessarily results in income or anything like that, but I think that definitely it's a very valuable thing, and this has been my hobby. So good question. Next question. Looking back to your college education, which one class is most relevant to your career today? That's the title of the question, and the body of the question is, if you don't mind, include your area of concentration: mechanical, electrical, biomedical, etc., etc. So for me, my concentration was mechanical, but I think the most useful class that I took was not necessarily a mechanical class, though. Shout out to fluids, heat transfer. Those classes were definitely the classes that I theoretically would be using the most if I was working as a technical mechanical engineer. But for me personally, the classes I got the most value out of were engineering design classes. I was fortunate enough to attend a university that we actually had an engineering design class every single semester instead of just the last 2 semesters in our senior year. And I found that very valuable because that experience working on projects with team members, learning how to manage people's personalities, dealing with another person who has this very similar personality to myself, and learning from them how to deal with me, and vice versa. That's very valuable for me, and that's also transferred really well to the workplace. I've learned how to solve problems autonomously and work in teams, and that's been very, very valuable to me. On top of that, those design projects involved a little bit of writing and reports, and along with my lab coursework, they all prepared me very well for my career, because regardless of what kind of engineering you do and what kind of role you take in, but especially in my role, being able to effectively communicate to people, often written, is super valuable. So I've found my lab courses and my writing that I did in my design classes to very helpful to help me improve my fluency in communicating engineering and technical content. All right. And the last question. Do you miss engineering school? Is the title of the question. Hi all, I'll be graduating this fall, and I've been back and forth between thinking I'll be very happy that I'm finished with school and also thinking that I may miss it in the future. To those that have graduated, do you miss school, and why or why not? I do and I don't. I miss having my friends really close around me all the time. I miss being able to not really have to plan anything, and all my friends are just kind of there. So whenever I wanted to be social, I could just kind of be social. I also missed the kind of camaraderie that I had with my peers, as engineering, is kind of a struggle. So we had that kind of, I guess, that shared mutual suffering that we had together, and that was a nice bond, and I'm fortunate to be able to hang out with those peers every once in a while. But for the most part, it is pretty nice working, because I have generally a work-life balance, and it's also nice to make money and be able to afford things and plan for my future. So I miss school. It's one of those things that once you realize you're not going to ever be able to go back, at least I don't want to go back, because that was hard. But once you realize you can't, that's a part of your life that's over, then definitely you miss it. But I'm grateful to be in the workforce now and have my evenings, for the most part, during the week to myself. So that's it. All right, so those are the 4 questions for this week's podcast. So thanks for tuning in, and this is the Engineering Success Podcast. This was episode 2. I'm Daniel Dollinger, and I'll hear from you hopefully next week. Thanks.
We miscommunicating, I miscommunicating. I just made a pilot, then they threw me on the stations. Nah, I'm not complaining, My thoughts get complicated, I cannot explain in lameness. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify, they put me on the station.